Hello, welcome to the reflection pack for document number 1. So we are kicking off the reflection of the pre-released information for the SAICA case study for the 2022 December. So the company in question is called Fodjan, as you might have seen already. And in this particular screencast, we're going to just talk about the reading of document A. And what I just want to emphasize is the concept of structured research that I spoke to you about in our setting the scene session. So what we'll then be doing is reading and asking ourselves key questions. And these key questions will drive the research that we need to do. So I will want you to really resist the temptation of then sitting and saying that, I've seen that this Fodjan is in this particular industry. Let me go learn anything there is about that industry. That will not be a good use of your time, but rather consider what is then given to you. And therefore, what is it that you need to therefore become an expert in? And why do I have this particular view? This particular view for me is informed by the fact that I don't think any examiners out there will expect you to be an industry expert and know everything that there is about any industry in the given number of days, where you are also expected to work through some technical triggers. So for me, that doesn't make sense. So I don't believe that is the intention. So if that is my initial belief, then what is then the expectation? Or what is then the logic behind this document A, or rather document 1 in this instance? For me, it is all about, we have done the research. We have realized that there are complicated aspects about this entity, this industry, and we have now stripped all those complexities and have given you the core, what you're going to need in order to be able to respond to the task that we've given you. So let's keep that mindset, because that mindset is crucial to how you spend your 5 days. And if you are, as we discuss, having that critical thinking, if you are saying that, but then I've seen a case study where I was expected to bring much more than I was given in the first document, then please present your case. But if you go back, if you have worked through other APC, if you have sat through other APC assessments, you will have then picked up that what the examiners have done is that they have really sharpened the industry, the company, to just give you the core. So your objective is to read this core set of information in the most critical manner possible. And that's what it's all going to be about. But are you saying that we should not be using Google? We should not be reading integrated reports? No. We will do that to the extent that it is required. So when will it ever be required, you might be asking? If they're introducing some terminology that you have never had before and you need to Google. Like, for instance, if you look at industries like airline, they talk about things like load factor. And in a company like an airline, they might consider that to be a normal terminology. And you might be saying, what is that? You might therefore want to Google it and therefore understand it so that you can better understand what is given here. So that is an opportunity to Google. Another opportunity to Google is when they are now presenting a context that you might want to verify, you might want to better understand in order to be able to assess some of the strategies that they will be putting forward. And when you do that, it always has to be contextualized, that if you are telling me you want to do this, then it might be important for me to understand your competitors, your customers, that has anyone ever done this? And what was their success story? And what can I take away from this? And so on and so on. But structured research. I'm not going to look at Fodjan, and I understand that it is what? It is in industry X. And then I then say industry X, industry reports, download. That will be not a good use of your time. So let's get into it. So email from who? From Elijah. So we don't know at this point who is Elijah. He has not been in, or she, what is it, he or she? He or she has not been introduced to us. Then we are given this email, which is sent to the what? Which is sent to the financial manager. And in the APC, rather than to play around with names, they play around with roles. So now we are saying that we are a financial manager in this company. So now I'm starting to get a sense of the size of this company, that if I'm a financial manager, because there are so many roles in finance, I could just be an accountant, I could be an analyst, I could be financial manager, I could be a CFO or something. But now the role that they've given me, it can give me a sense of how big the company is. So if I'm a financial manager, I'm thinking a medium size will do, or even a small size will do. A small size, as in probably a couple of millions right there. So now there's this other person, Hydra, that has also been what? CC'd on this email. But I'm thinking that based on tradition, I will then be the one who's just been referred by role. So welcome with a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm thinking that then there's going to be what? There's going to be an outline of the company in the form of slides. Does it mean anything? Does it help in any way? Does it enhance my learning, or does it enhance my consumption of document A? That is yet to be seen. But let's go to it. So now they say, I hope you've enjoyed your first week. So I've just been recently appointed. So I hope you have enjoyed your first week here. You may have found the restaurant franchise industry. So they have now introduced the industry to me. The restaurant franchise industry. But I am not hearing of a restaurant franchise industry for the very first time in this case study. The moment I read this, some of the restaurant names started ringing. And the biggest one, it was what? From a South African perspective, because I understand that based on the different location that you might have been based, different names might have been triggered. So for me, I'm saying that I'm thinking about what? I'm thinking about the famous brands. I'm thinking about the Spare Corporation. I'm thinking about what? I'm thinking about your what do you call this? Your Ocean Basket. So these are some of the names that are coming through. And I've heard, but not so closely, about how their operations are. So I'm saying that as much as this is something new to me, there are familiar things that I had played in my head. And I'm thinking, even at the same time, this is still a restaurant, and the dynamics of a restaurant might be applicable. Briefly, restaurants are known to be tough to run. Restaurants are known to be heavy, are known to be prone to economic situation, are known to be exposed to risk of changing consumer preferences and competing, very competitive environment. So these are some of the things that you and I, we might have had. We don't need to have been CAs who will then be saying that I'm expanding my business acumen. Just looking around, just having gone out, we will have then had a sense of what restaurants are all about. We have seen some that will be here for a number of years. We've seen some that will be here for a few years, disappear. So we understand it's a really tough industry. that even when we are coming out from our homes, we are thinking, is it Mug and Bean today? Is it Ocean Basket? Is it Nando's? Is it KFC? Is it McDonald's? So there are a number of them. Oh, and yes, these are some of those, the likes of what? The likes of McDonald's, KFC, and so on. So I'm saying that I can see this. I can see this as a starting point. So let's continue. It's a lot more dynamic and challenging more than what people think. Oh, so I had initially expressed my view in terms of the challenges I've heard about the restaurant business, but then this Elijah person it's more challenging than most people think. Okay? In what way? I'm wondering. And think about that critical thinking set of questions that I ask questions to know more. I ask questions to unpack an issue. So if someone comes to me and say, this is a lot more dynamic and challenging than what most people think, firstly, I'll want to understand, what do people think, right? Because this statement is built on a particular understanding. I don't know that understanding, but understanding that understanding will help me to many understandings there. But I hope you are with me. So it's a lot more dynamic and challenging than what most people think, okay? Dynamic and challenging how? I cannot go into the assessment without the answer to this structured research. So when I'm going to do my structured research, I'll want to understand how is it dynamic and challenging. So which section of a report can I then go to just understand some of this dynamic, some of these challenges that the restaurant business then is exposed to? Then this now is triggering some of my first research. So I am going to be answering, or my research, or this structured research I was talking about, is I'll be going out to say, if you give me the Famous Brands annual report, or the Spare Corporation annual report, or whichever, I'm going to a section where they will be telling me about the challenges. And dynamic, where will I find insights about how dynamic this industry is? So let me give you a thought to just take some seconds to give you the thought. Okay, so where? So I'm thinking that I'll go to the CEO, CFO, and the chairman and the chairman report, because they always have context. So they always have context. They will be telling me, maybe let me just pause here. Let me quickly pause. But the reason I was pausing is that I wanted to just quickly go to Famous Brands. So now I come here and I was like, this is the CEO's report or introduction. But I want to understand this dynamic and challenge. So this, remember that CEOs, CFO, they've got limited pages. So they will want to unpack an issue quite quickly. So they're saying that delivering improved results in unpredictable times. So that must be the dynamic that they're talking about. Let's quickly see. In the first half of 2023, we continued our strong post-pandemic recovery with good growth across our 4 divisions. The lifting of COVID-19. The lifting of COVID-19. So COVID-19 might have presented challenges and made this industry to be dynamic in the sense that it had to adapt to that environment quite quickly. And I'm very impressed with the South African restaurant business, because the way that they navigated the COVID-19, a lot of people thought this kind of businesses will not probably see the light beyond COVID-19, but here they are, and some of them are growing stronger than they were before. So they talk about it herald a new return to normal life and bustling restaurants. The economy also began to recover. So from a challenges perspective, I'm noting COVID-19 as some of the things. I'm noting that the economy's recovery, or that there was an economic issue that could have been linked to COVID-19. In the second half, however, local and global uncertainty and South Africa's specific challenges began to limit economic growth. The group and our franchise partner had to contend with severe load shedding, rapidly increasing input costs. The consumer, both in South Africa and elsewhere, came under pressure. I mean, look, do you see the veil of structured report? Because we are reading just a small snippet, but we are starting to understand some of the challenges that Elijah might have been talking about. We don't know. Maybe Elijah will unpack them later. But we are just we are now understanding. We didn't need to read a lot. We focused on where, then the kind of context that Elijah has triggered, we could then find it. You could have found a different report, but I am confident that the CEO, chairman, and or CFO as executive report will have been the perfect place to understand this dynamic and challenging environment that Elijah is talking about. But now I'm in a better state. I'm feeling a little bit more confident about my understanding of this. And these things that they're talking about, load shedding, I can see it and I can see the problem. This thing about the consumer, I know myself that I'm not playing at the restaurant as much as I used to. I don't need to read about it. And when it comes to input cost, I mean, I know that my money is getting it's getting stretched and stretched even more. So all these things, I don't need a further report. I don't need to Google them further, because these are some of the things that are commonly accessible or commonly visible or one is experiencing. Sure. Despite these challenges, we had a solid year with improvements in all our major financial metrics. We continue to execute our strategy across our 4 divisions. We achieved B level 2, well done. I thank the employees and the franchise partners. Great. Then I've got the context probably that Elijah was talking about. But if Elijah gives me more, I'm quite happy. So let's go back. Okay, so I'm back with Elijah now. As previously discussed, Fodjan, let's call it FJ. FJ has evolved into one of the leading casual dining restaurant groups in South Africa. So I might have then identified, or maybe before I move from here, so the other insights about the challenges that a company is facing, I can find it in its risk management report. So if then I'm not convinced, or I'm not so satisfied about the understanding of the issue from this report that I've mentioned, the risk management report is also another good source. But so far, I just want to know whether that's enough, because I don't want to boil the ocean too early. Or actually, I don't want to boil it at all. I just want to have that good understanding. And as the issues are unpacked even more, it will hint me whether I need to go back to a risk management report that I might have read before. Okay. So this has evolved into leading casual dining restaurant groups. So now they are further defining this company for me, that this is not your premium fine dining kind of place. This casual dining, I'm now thinking that, oh, maybe the likes of Nando's, the likes of Mug and Bean, they fall under a casual dining. So it's not high-end, it's not classy, it's just casual. Okay, so it can give me a sense of the pricing point and whether some of the challenges that I might have picked up while I was looking, say, at a famous brand spare are relevant for a casual dining restaurant like FJ. It was difficult trading through the intermittent lockdowns, varying from level 1 through to level 5. I just remember that the CEO of Famous Brands also mentioned COVID-19. So Elijah now is unpacking it even more. That one of the challenges was this intermittent lockdowns. That was a problem. What does that mean? Because you will remember that family meeting. We are now on level 5. We are now on level 1. We are now at level 3. So those things, because now we were not sure where we will be. We were not convinced that we should be spending our money at a restaurant. So those could have affected what? Could have affected the demand that they were experiencing. Let's see. Complicated further by being hard to predict when this will be imposed. Yes, indeed. Fortunately, lockdowns levels were eased later in 2021, and we were able to get back to almost normal trading conditions, consistent with what? With Famous Brands CEO's statement. But he or she, I forgot to check the name, was emphasizing that 2023 half year, it's when they were starting to see this resume back to normal life. However, casual dining and fast food markets have dramatically changed over post-COVID. So I was referring to casual dining and fast food as the same thing. But now that Elijah has made it clear that there's casual dining and fast food, I'll want to just Google and make sure that my understanding is aligned to that of what? Of Elijah. So again, structured. So I want to make sure that I don't go thinking that this is similar to what? This is similar to a McDonald's, whereas it is not. But now, again, in my mind, I'm saying that I'm imagining the likes of Mag and B, which is more casual dining, versus fast food, like your McDonald's, KFC, right? It's like if I had to take you on a date, where would you want to go? Kind of. So fast food versus casual dining. That's my picture. But I'll want to Google and verify. First, people have to learn how to cook or to improve their cooking skill as a matter of necessity. The good old years of COVID. Second, online orders for delivery skyrocketed, and this became the new normal. So the trends. So the person who used to be your customer is now saying that, oh, wait, I realize I can do what you guys do. I can just cook for my partner, I can cook for my kids, I can cook for myself. So I'm not going to come as much as I used to. Friday nights, I used to be about pizza or date night, but now I'm just going to do home cooked meals. So that consumer trend could be hitting them. Okay? So as they are unpacking the challenges, I'm starting to see where it's now an issue. Online orders skyrocketed, and this became a new normal. But were you able to adapt, though, FJ? Third, ghost kitchens popped up all over the place. If it was a couple of months ago, I would have Googled what is a ghost kitchen. But now I've been oriented about what is a ghost kitchen. And if you are not, I will then want you to Google it. But simply said, a ghost kitchen are those that you find in Uber, and there is a restaurant that you can order from, but you are saying, I think I've passed that place. I've never seen a restaurant, because they don't operate as a restaurant. It's just someone that is cooking from their kitchen, the back of their house, and they just then facilitate what? The sales through platforms like Uber Eats, Mr. Delivery, and so on. So to unpack even more, Elijah was kind enough to say, don't go do research, I'll tell you what these are. These ghost kitchens have no physical facilities for sit-down meals, and instead prepare food to fulfill online orders that are for delivery only. So, I see. There have been so many innovations and developments in response to the changed landscape. To the what? To the changed landscape. There have been so many innovations and developments in response to the changed landscape. So, firstly, challenge. People are learning to cook or cooking for themselves. 2, people are now ordering, and they're not necessarily ordering from the likes of FJ, they're ordering from the likes of what? The likes of this Ghost Kitchen. So what am I seeing? Now I wear my strategy hat. How do I analyze this, not like a layman, but a prospective CA? What is it that has been introduced here? Then I was like, I've got my models. What models are I talking about? I've got Potters in my bag, I've got pastel, and I've got a packaging model like safe and short. So what about this? So the first one, from a Potter's perspective, it is now highlighting to me something that I need to be mindful about with regards to the consumer and the social or demographic what? Consideration. Okay, so now what does this mean? It means that there is change in consumer behavior. And so this change in consumer behavior is affecting what? It's affecting my bargaining power against the consumer. Because the consumer is saying that if you're going to treat me bad, if I'm going to have to pay twice the price of food at a restaurant, then I can just cook at home. So do you see that this trend now, it's giving consumer greater bargaining power? When I know my pocket is not so strong, I can say, love, tonight I'm cooking. It will be just romantic. There it is. Now, my bargaining power has increased against companies like FG. Okay? Then additionally, I'm now being told about what? I'm now being told about online orders. And this is a personal consideration. Under what? Under technology. So technology, what is it doing? Technology is introducing a new threats or new entrants into my market. How so? Because it is now lowering the, the entry cost. So to enter into an industry is now easier because I don't need a structure. I don't need rent. I can just set it up and register my account on Uber. So do you see what technology has done? So technology is a factor in pastel. And now I've got what? I've got Potters coming in. Where now, and yes, I was looking for this fancy term that Potters use. The barriers of entry have been reduced or lowered. And thereby what? Thereby reducing my bargaining power. So do you see how we are using those models? Because those models, we don't force them. They lend themselves to help us better understand this. So that is what we are seeing. We are seeing now consumer, we are seeing changing consumer preferences, and we are seeing technology and new entrants coming through. Okay? Then these are because of innovation developments that are changing the landscape. Why, with the trading environment becoming increasingly complex, I often wonder if we should make more use of the data stored on our computer system to better understand our business. What is Elijah hinting to? He's hinting, or she or he is hinting toward DNA, data, and analytics. And which bubble or which enabling competency is this? it is that of digital acumen. So I don't know how restaurants are using data to better service us. So for me, this is an opportunity to Google. Opportunity to Google. Understanding what? To better understand how data can create competitive advantage for a restaurant business. So that's what I'm going to be Googling. I want to understand this because he's saying or she is saying, I often wonder if we should make more use of the data stored on our computer system. So they've got data. So the only thing they are now missing is the analytics. So could this have been the likes of your generative, of your internal, what is it? AI, sorry, artificial intelligence. Could they have now analyzed, or machine learning, could they have analyzed all these things and then say that, you know what, this is the perfect menu that you need to put out there? And based on this, it seems that you've got 100 people that come, and in this 100 people, 50 have got a kids meal in there. So that means you are a family-oriented business. Maybe you need to change your strategy and position yourself as such. Or you need to now start putting things that cater for children so that people don't think twice about cooking at home or doing ordering from this ghost kitchen. So that's where the analytics came into decision making, and therefore into your digital acumen. So I don't know how far Elijah wants to take this, but I want to prepare, and I've got this as my second structured way to better understand this FJ company. I suppose the same goes for our franchises. If you have thoughts on this, I will really appreciate your input. So for me, I'm saying I need to come prepared. If you have thoughts on this, I will really appreciate your input. So for me, that's a trigger. So what is the trigger here? The triggered action. The triggered action is for me to understand and identify opportunities to use this data, to use data available to FJ. That is that. I mean, if I don't do this and I'm working with Elijah, I'll be worried about myself that, yeah, if Elijah next time comes and says, hey, Brendan, have you looked at that? What are your thoughts? Because he said, if you have any thoughts on this, excuse me. But at this point, I'm not so clear where we will end up with this, but I need to have thoughts on this. I need to be able to form a view on this. I've attached some presentation slides that provide more information about FJ and its operations. We use these for orientation purposes for our new staff members and non-executive directors. Okay, so this is for orientation purposes. So now, why is it important to know what the slides are used for? Because that will determine the level of detail in them. If these slides are for orientation purposes, I'm now expecting them to be very detailed. Because when you orientate someone, you need to help them understand your business. But if they are for funding, I'll expect them to be light, because you just want to hit the core points with your funders so that they understand your business and the opportunity that you have, as well as obviously the risk and the current earnings. So that's what the difference will be, but very high level, because you'll then unpack that during the funding discussion. But here, I expect the details to be much more. This presentation is also used for what? For planning purposes and our strategy. So I will then expect you to address some strategic considerations as well, such as what? I will expect them to be talking about the external environment, the things that we are experiencing those two. I'll expect them to be there so that we can better identify the risks that are facing the company as well as the opportunities that are facing the company. So that's where I'll then expect. So the second part is now going to help me to expect the kind of content in them, not necessarily the detail, but the kind of content. I'll be very surprised if after reading this, we don't know what are the risks facing the company or the opportunities that are available to the company. Then how do you use this for strategy sessions and for planning? So because there's also a planning, I'll expect them to be telling me about the outlook of an industry. So you might be thinking that, wait, these words that maybe Rendan is using, they sound set up like it's not probably I talk to my friend, to my partner, to my kids, that guys, have you thought about the environment? So there must be something, and that's something, indeed, it's there. So I have shared with you a video on the value creation framework that I want you to understand. But what I want you to just see now, we've just spent about 30 minutes, 38 minutes or 40 minutes now, reading just the first email. If you're going to read it in like 10 seconds, you're going to read it in 10 minutes, you are not going to identify the things you are thinking. You might be missing the first invaluable opportunity to start thinking. But you might be saying, but Rendan, I prefer to just read first and know what's in there and come back. Okay, I hear you, that's fair. But I'll want you to have that critical mind when you're reading. And you might be saying that, but Rendan, you missed this and that's perfectly fine. And I would love to know that you are there. Why? Because that's where you then start thinking about the value of a group. Because this is me. Then my group member will be a Fedi, will be an Ere, will be an Asen, a Komu, an Elton. So when I present my thoughts, they'll be saying, oh yes, but you missed this, you missed that, and I've got this, I've thought about this. Then this starts growing. And where I was saying that I'll need to understand that triggered action about understanding and identifying the opportunities to use data available to FJ, someone could know already that, oh, no, I actually worked for this company. What they used to do, they will then get this data and they will then present it in these nice graphs, then they pick up 1, 2, 3. So those are some of the things that I expect this data to be used for. But that is just, for me, the key takeaway is the need to critically read and identify things that require further understanding or unpacking. Okay, now let's go through these slides.